Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and this is the first episode of a new series I'm going to bring onto my channel called Spirit Drive. So what this is entailing is just being able to go for a drive and share spiritual teachings, concepts, ideas, practices, whatever comes up through the form of conversation. So I'm just in a little area here in my hometown of Vancouver, Maple Ridge, BC. I'm just driving through an area called Golden Years. Very peaceful, gigantic park, lots of people coming and going. And through this video today, I just wanted to share a perspective as it relates to God as a being. Now, of course, I have looked into this for quite some time. When I was first starting my spiritual journey, I was kind of shying away from God a little bit more. I really liked the idea of how we were connecting more so to the universe. I was buying more so into the idea of God just as a consciousness, just as an energy. But as I got deeper into my own inner workings, I was realizing that really was not the way. It wasn't the way to see God as a consciousness. And I know that is something very popular, especially within the Eastern philosophies as well too, is that God is a consciousness, God represents energy, God is all of this, and God certainly is all of this. God certainly is a consciousness, God certainly is an energy. But then you look into many other forms of teachings from great masters. Of course, one of the most popular masters that many of us are aware of is Jesus Christ. So, if God was only an energy, a consciousness, why is it then that Jesus would always refer to God as his Father? Why is it that through many other traditions as well too, these native tribes, these indigenous people, would often refer to God as a parent, a great mother, a great father, a grandmother, a grandfather? And as we see it in many other traditions as well too, is that there is so many traditions across the world where God is being seen as a parent or a grandparent in that way. Well, that implies form. That implies a being that represents God. Even when many of the people of the East that connect with God, they refer to God as He, or they may refer to God as She. Or again, even using the word creator would pertain to the idea of a being, of an entity in that way. So it's helping us to understand a little bit more about the nature of God, and that it is absolutely all right to look at God as an entity, looking at God as a being. And I have realized this not too long ago. And I talk about this because I actually do the work. I don't just talk about it and then not do this work and it goes nowhere. So I do the work in that way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into the idea of God being my father, God being my mother, God being my grandparent, God being my heavenly parent. And as I looked into that a lot more, I felt a deeper kinship, a deeper connection, a deeper rapport, a deeper love with God. I could feel God's energy flowing through me a lot more deeper than as if I was to just see God as an entity, God as a consciousness or energy. So it's basically, if you're seeing God as a consciousness, because yes, God is consciousness, of course, it's no more different than trying to have a relationship with air, right? The invisible. Now, of course, we need air to live. Our breath is one of the most important things about ourselves living in this body. But are we always thankful for the air that we breathe? Maybe we're not. Maybe we're more thankful for our families. Maybe we're more thankful for our heart. We're more thankful for love. It's looking into the aspect of feeling you can't really have a rapport with air other than know that you breathe it in and that you breathe it out. you can't really feel like I'm so thankful for the air of this planet that's keeping me alive, or any other particular form of invisible aspect or invisible analogy you want to give. So it's not just about the idea of seeing God as a consciousness, as an energy. Of course God is consciousness, of course God is energy, but God is also a being, because you are consciousness, you are energy, and you are a being as well too. So we're looking at the highest being, we're looking at the highest entity, we're looking at the highest mind, we're looking at the highest soul, we're looking at the highest spirit, and that would represent the aspect of God. So what I would suggest is that you guys look into this a little bit more as well too, as I've certainly done, and the love I have for God now is more stronger than it's ever been. Ever since I was a kid, I was raised in Jehovah's Witnesses, and of course it was always about the religious aspect of God, that God will punish you if you don't worship Him, and send you to hell, but He loves you. And that is the stupidity of man's God, and that is not the true God. That is not the God that I am talking about. True God is all about love, kindness, joy, happiness, bliss, mercy, gracefulness, everything. I could put a million words there, and that still wouldn't define God. We can't define God. But what you can do is you can have a relationship with Him, and that's being able to see God as this entity, as a being. And when you do that, your world shifts momentously, however you want to call it. But it shifts exponentially, because you now realize that God is with you, that Spirit is with you, that His mind is with you, that her heart is with you always, and that you can go into the greatest depths of yourself in ways you can't even imagine. And that's certainly been my journey as well too. And it's been the journey as well too to dissolve as much as possible the intellectual mind, the intellectual curiosity. As I've said before in other videos, that the aspect of the intellect is the stupidest part of ourselves. It's dumb. All it wants to do is ask questions. All it wants to do is try to control and bend things to its will so that it makes sense to it, rather than the idea of being able to understand the freedom that exists in all things. So this is just something I wanted to share with all of you today for the first episode of Spirit Drive, about God as a being. So thank you so much everybody for tuning in, and I'll speak to you in another episode of Spirit Drive and in the next video as well too. Thank you very much for checking out my channel. Below you'll see my links to social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also go to healingcodecards.com, pick up your own Healing Code Cards body deck. And of course, check out my website at newearthteachings.com. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next video.